Hello, this is BioEnchanted, and I just want to talk about this cool little game I've been playing on the PS5. It's a PS4 game, but I'm playing it on the PS5, called Pharonic. It's quite a fun little thing. It's got some interesting aspects to it. It's quite clunky, and it's kind of obvious it's a budget game, but it's got quite a bit of charm to it. There's something quite interesting with it, is that it's a side-scrolling game. But I'm not sure if this was an intentional choice to kind of like ape hieroglyphics, or whether that's just kind of a coincidence, and whether it's just like easier to make than a full 3D game. But it's just quite an interesting thing that I tied together. And yeah, here I took a little bit too much health from that guy, so I decided to just kind of respawn him with the bonfires. Those giant statues are basically bonfires. It's kind of like a side-scrolling Souls-like sort of a thing. And then I've got this spell equipped. There's like these backpacks of different shapes and sizes and things. And the backpacks generally give you different magic abilities, so that was the ability to like throw a key blast. And I'm also equipped with a Scorpion Claw, because that's really fast, and that's really good for this area of the game, because something that's quite easy to end up with in this game is a situation where you can kind of get stun locked, if you know, not quite stun locked, but it can be hard to cancel out an attack. And the reason I ran away from that fight is because I'd already completed it. This is a fight though that will actually lock me in the room, because I haven't beaten this fight yet, as with this recording at least. So that's kind of how this game locks things behind you. It's certain areas you need to do mandatory fights, like a big one, and then when you do that fight you get a little success thing coming up, and then it opens the gates, and then anytime you get past that fight in the next, in future, you don't really need to do the fight anymore. You can just kind of roll past the enemies and ignore them, which is nice enough that it doesn't make you do them every time. There's also a good variety of weapons to play around with as well. I didn't really equip the Miner's Hatchet because I was trying to get through this fight, and I've not got the victory text yet, so I just need to beat these two guys and that will finish it. Because if I die here, I think I have to redo the entire fight from the beginning, and then, again, I have to do the fight every time, which is annoying. So I want to at least get past this fight this one time. It's not really got any real voice acting, it's mostly just text boxes and things. Something that's quite interesting with the map design is while it's side-scrolling, it still kind of builds it into a 3D space by kind of like tying them together at right angles. So it's a bunch of 2D planes, like 2D paths, but kind of connected into a 3D shape, which I find quite interesting. It can be a bit hard to navigate though. And this is how you get upgrades to your character. You can buy skill upgrades from these guys started around the game in exchange for these magic gems they're very rare. I don't know how many gems there are because it's still quite early in the game, I think, but there's not that many gems and there's a lot of those guys to find. And these are the maps as well. This is how you actually see the map screen. It's like the item menu, which is very weird, but each area has its own little map, and it shows how all the little horizontal paths kind of intersect. It can be a little bit confusing at first, but when you kind of realise what you're doing, like, for example, in the top left, that's where I entered this room, so that's where that first statue was. And then, of course, I went to that right angle, and then it's kind of showing that there are paths branching up and down off this one. I'm currently at the end of that top path there, at the little guy with the eye patch, because it's like the eye patch guys, I think, are people that teach you skills and things, and then the other icons are, like, people that give quests or shops. And this is an example, of course, going between the paths. Like, some of them have short between paths, and some of them have the between paths become entire paths on their own, but it depends on the size of the path and the shape of the area. Of course, this area's got, like, oil all over the ground, but I don't know if that does anything. I don't know if it slows you down or anything. I haven't really noticed any difference. I quite like the different types of enemies you get though. Like, these guys are kind of clumsy and can easily fall over because they're idiots. And then you have these like golems in another level though that are really resilient, and you have to be quite careful with them. And yeah, that's what I keep trying to do. I keep trying to parry, but I'm not very good at parrying in this game. Like, at all. I'm very bad at this game. It's been kind of fun to mess around with though. And of course this like mine area is only one of quite a few areas. I just kind of want to show off a few of them just to kind of give you the idea of it. This is just me messing around right now and finding a few things I didn't find before. Now I'm between a scorpion and a spear guy. And of course, like a lot of games like this, there are certain attacks you can't block, and certain attacks you can only block. Like spears, for example, you kind of get warned that it's best to just block them because it's really hard to dodge them. You technically can, but it's a lot more annoying than it should be. And yeah, sometimes you kind of like want to try and roll through an enemy like this because sometimes the hitbox otherwise goes right into the in front of them, so it can be quite hard to avoid them if you don't roll through them. Like there, for example, if I'd rolled through him, I might have avoided that one. But of course, he's a level up as well. So of course, leveling up gives you extra health and stamina and magic, kind of like a flat thing. But that's all it really does. To be able to equip better weapons, you need to do those gem things, and then as you level up the weapon skills, they allow you to equip better weapons at certain types and things. So that's just me messing around with the Royal Quarry, so let's check out a different area. But yeah, just kind of bought like on a whim because it seemed kind of amusing, and then I played it like very briefly, never got through the tutorial area before this playthrough. Where I don't know, about midway through, and I'm glad I kind of got back to it and decided to give it a fair shake because it is quite entertaining. Of course, the fact that this is named area is Circe's Fountain, that implies there might be a boss here, and there is. This is kind of one of the main bosses in the game, where the kind of object really to find those 4 keys, and this is a boss, Circe, who is holding one of those 4 keys that I need to be able to get into the main objective, which is Thebes. Because Thebes, of course, has a big kind of like wall. I can get to the wall right now, but I can't get inside it because there's the big pedestals. You have to find these 4 keys. One of which you get from the tutorial boss, and then 3 of which you find bosses in the levels by just kind of like, and then you can kind of find them. I do quite like the game's got quite a lot of content as well though, like it's not just the 4 bosses. There's a bunch of like smaller bosses that appear between areas as well, and like along with the big fights and stuff, like a lot of named enemies that will have their own strengths and weaknesses and stuff, and their own like best ways of dealing with them. Queen Circe is kind of a pain because, of course, I haven't beaten her yet because I'm still. The game will let me fight her again if I had already beaten her. But her whole gimmick is that she summons a wave of guys, and then you beat all the guys, and then you catch up with her and try and beat her. And then she teleports away, summons more guys. And some of these attacks are kind of like their sometimes you can kind of get stuck in animation, like with that. Like that can never really properly avoid the big kind of a ninja ball thing. But then these little balls, I'm getting better and better at getting through them. And of course, while she's doing that spinny thing to teleport away, you can get a few cheap hits on her as well. But sometimes you just want to heal. And of course, healing in this kind of SS class style system, we get like these like charges of fountain water that you drink, and that heals you. And there's not really many ways to upgrade it. Like the only reason I have 4 right now instead of the default 3 is because I have a special ring on that increases the number of them. Because of course it's one of the types of equipment you can get. Is different kinds of rings that are unique and have different abilities and stuff. Like they increase your chance of enemies dropping better loot, or they increase the amount of charges you get for healing and things. And partially showing off this boss a bit just to kind of show that this game is very difficult as well. It's one that I've died so many times, and it's got quite a lot of very cute achievements as well, where it's like, at one point I got one for dying 25 times in total, and it was just called something like getting used to it. So that's quite cute, it's got that kind of sense of humour, hence the name Pharonic. You might be able to guess it's that kind of like, it's trying to be kind of humorous. It's just me showing off a different weapon as well, to kind of like, that was me accidentally using that ability that I equipped as well, which is a waste of my magic because I need to get some of that back. But that ability basically, as you'll see in the fight, increases the damage we do with each swing, which is going to be most useful in this fight because of the waves of enemies. It'll make them go away faster, and therefore make them a bit less dangerous. And yeah, that's quite a tricky fight to predict, that particular move where they roll into you like that. Because sometimes they roll and they don't stick the sword out afterwards, but sometimes they do. So it can be a little bit hard to predict on that one. So sometimes you get some cheap hits in there. And I do quite like as well that the boss health bar, at least for Queen Cersei, I haven't noticed what the other ones do because I haven't even noticed this for her yet, but I do like that her icon on her health bar is actually the demigod thing that eats the hearts of the sinners in the afterlife. That's kind of a fun thing. Like, you know, they weigh your heart, and if it's heavy because you've been doing too much naughty shit, then that guy eats your heart. There's one of the cute thing with that is the difference of games set around ancient Egypt as well. There's a lot of fun thing with that where the final boss of this other game is actually that particular, not that monster, but it's kind of like a set piece of the boss fight, because the final boss is trying to summon it to do something, but of course she's undead, so as soon as you defeat her, it just eats her for trying to control it, which is quite funny. I'm not going to tell you what game that is though, because, you know, spoilers and things, and I might do that game in the future because it's quite a fun one. No, by the time I get around to that one, maybe you'll have forgotten I said that. And of course, these tree-roots, and they've got that one of many ways the game kind of like seals you into an area of enemies. Sometimes it's spikes, like over there there's spears, and sometimes it's tree-roots. And sometimes it's generally, I think it's mostly both though. I think most frequently, actually, I don't think there's the only real pattern to it. It's like sometimes they're sealing off a north or south path, sometimes it's east or west path, but there's always a variety of either of them. There's not really a thing where it's like only routes on left and right and only spikes going up and down. There's also quite a lot of environmental traps as well, and one of the fun things with the environmental traps is the enemies can set them off too, and that's quite satisfying. Sometimes we have like a big fight but it has like a spike trap in the middle, so you can kind of convince enemies to step on it. That's quite fun. Yeah, he was just me really screwing up in this fight. Also, you may notice this boss has no skin. That's a plot thing because she got burned alive, and that's why she's now an evil sorceress. So it's like, okay, fine. It's a cool visual thing. I just wanted to do a little bit of a video just kind of showing off the game. It's been a while since I've done it because I've been focusing so much on like Blender and things like that and work and stuff. I haven't really had much time for my current projects with LPs and stuff. I can, of course, keep meaning to go back to them, it's just I've been busy. I might set up an Instagram for my finished renders for the non-animation things, because for now, of course, it's going to take a while to get to animation because I'm barely starting doing the actual, like, completed visual projects in general. So for those, I'll probably set up an Instagram to be able to show those off. I'll start linking to that when I'm ready to set it up in future videos and things. Because with Patreon, we'll be mostly looking towards having more time to not worry less about the YouTube channel and being able to focus more on the art and things. Yeah, sometimes you kind of get a bit, like, stuck in a big pile of guys. Which sometimes can be quite fun, but not in this context. And yeah, she's always sniping at you from afar as well with her magic, and since in the last phase she starts totally getting waves in, like, a spread of 3, that can be quite dangerous in the last section. I do quite like, though, that her shots, when they hit those little, like, wall fence things, it actually breaks the fences. That's quite a fun visual thing. There's really a lot of like love gone into this game despite it being quite low budget, because there's little things like that that are just kind of fun. It's just overall a very enjoyable game that I'm enjoying going through it so far and just messing around with it. Actually making progress will change. It feels like I finally start to kind of figure it out. Because one of the main things I have with this game is sometimes I find it very easy to accidentally get stuck in an animation and being unable to avoid an enemy's attack because of that, and that can be quite frustrating. It's still my own fault that happens, but yeah. Yeah, when she does that, because she goes into like a 3D motion, it can be kind of hard to hit her when she's like that. You can, but it's hard to do. Like there, for example, I was able to hit while she was doing that, and that's quite nice. on the fighters I've ever got, really. Because of course by this point I'm out of healing stuff, and this big guy can be quite dangerous. Because they have quite a lot of reach. Like that. So that was just me showing this game off, because it deserves to be shown off, it's quite fun. I don't know if I'll ever do a full LP of it, but it's just a bit of a laugh really. So thanks for joining me and have a nice day. I would like to thank James Rossi for supporting me on Patreon as my Bio-Enchanted leg tier. I really hope other people can also join my Patreon to help support my channel and help improve the amount of resources I have for making better videos and being able to put more time into more elaborate thumbnails and title cards and things like that. Because I'd like to be able to have more time to really work on those kind of visual aspects beyond the actual video itself. Thank you.